I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
On Sundays, I probably won't hunt Monday. I'll likely hunt back in here Tuesday. There are still a good number of very unspooked and very mature does. Well, it's Tuesday, October 6th, and we're back in the same stand as we were Saturday night, where we shot that doe, and that night we saw several other mature deer, and since then they've still been coming out and hitting this corn, so we've got several doe tags left to fill. So I figure we're gonna try it again. It's a little warmer today, it's about 65 degrees. So it might slow down the movement a little bit. We might not see stuff as early, but I think they're gonna move, and I think we're gonna have a real good chance at getting it done again tonight.
It's always encouraging to see turkeys from the tree stand, especially with the fall turkey season starting in just a couple of weeks. But on this particular evening, deer movement was very late, but still with almost 30 minutes of legal light remaining, a solo mature doe walked out into the food plot. As I was watching and waiting for her to start to move towards the corn, another doe came out behind me and worked her way into my shooting lane. Just as I got to full draw, she turned, and I wasn't sure if she was still on camera, so as I tried to check, I couldn't see if she was still in frame, and I had to let up. By the time I finally got my camera back on her, I could never get a clear shot. One of the fawns was either behind her or she wasn't broadside, so I decided I wasn't going to take that shot. I set my bow down, and I was going to call it an evening. I was going to wait for them to just kind of feed away, and then get out of the stand. But just seconds later, as I turned around, I saw another deer working its way towards the corn, and I decided with low light like this, if it came by my shooting lane at 10 yards, I would take that shot.
Matt.
I stepped my bow down, and then she committed to coming out of the corn, and that was 10 yards, and she ran probably 80 or so, and I stopped being able to hear her, but that arrow stuck in her, and it was pretty, it was a steep angle at that range, so hopefully that hit where I think it did. It looked just about perfect, up high to where it could go down through both lungs at such a steep angle, but my brother shot one tonight. We'll probably go meet up and see what the plan is. I really wasn't gonna take that shot, but 10 yards away and I'm mature doe, how could I not? So hopefully that got her like I think it did.
That's a better sign than I even thought it would be.
It's just splattered all over both sides.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
After one of the easiest blood trails to follow that I've ever had through the corn, we finally found it.
I want to go ahead and address the obvious here that this deer does have two very small antlers, and when we first found him there in the corn, other than the initial reaction just being glad it was a lethal quick kill and everything, my heart sunk. I thought that it was maybe not a legal kill, but I got to looking at it, and clearly this is a legal antlerless deer in PA. The laws that both antlers have to be under 3 inches, and this longer one here was something like 2 1/4. So, but you know, the way the antlers grew, I don't think he really would have, you know, amounted to much as far as a rack goes, and I think it maybe is best taken basically as a legal antlerless deer, you know, harvested for the meat and all that. So not exactly what I wanted, but you know, there's going to be a little extra meat out of this one than probably what an average sized doe would have, and it's a interesting story to say the least. So this is the second time we've doubled up in one evening. Second time we've both taken does. Last year we did it in muzzleloader, and the hunt for his deer wasn't filmed, but this year it was, and you can see it on this channel a little later in the year. So didn't really plan on announcing it this way, but the fact that we both took a deer tonight is probably the best way we could do it.
Ever since I watched my brother's hunting videos last year on his channel, on the Meat Hunters channel, I kind of wanted to do the same thing with filming, and I knew that he knew everything that I needed to get, so I pretty much just asked him what I needed, and he gave me some stuff, and I bought everything else I needed so I could do self-filming myself. And hopefully the doe's on film. I still haven't got a chance to look at it, but you got to see my first deer on film.
On October 10th, I decided to return to the same stand to see if deer were still coming to the corn in daylight, and I was greeted early on in the hunt by turkeys coming by in bow range, and it's already got me looking forward to the fall turkey season. It's no doubt encouraging to see deer moving once again with plenty of daylight from this spot, and it's got me thinking I probably could fill another tag here if I spend enough time in this spot going forward in the season. My entire hunt was made when I saw the small 10-point from opening day come back into the food plot, and it was great to get better footage of him than on opening day, and I just hope we get to see this buck in a couple of years because I think he has the genetics to become something special.
Well, that definitely wasn't a bad buck. I think he's only 2.5, but that's that same 10 that we filmed in here last week. And I think if he can make it another year or two, he's going to be really one to watch, and hopefully we can get to see what he becomes, because like I said, I'm pretty sure he's only 2.5, and he's definitely got the genetics that, you know, he could become something pretty special. So it's definitely not bad getting to see a buck like that in here early like this.
This whole week was full of lessons and experiences, and obviously the biggest lesson is to be a bit more careful in those low light conditions. That's obviously why the law exists, because mistakes happen, and sometimes things aren't incredibly obvious even at 10 yards like that, but lesson learned, and I'm going to be much more careful with that kind of stuff going forward, because I never want to have that sort of sinking feeling again coming upon a deer that I've just shot. And going along with that, it was cool to have my brother get his first deer on film, and as I mentioned earlier on in the video, that will be on the Meat Hunters channel later this year. You'll get to see some of his experiences and his hunts as well, so you can look forward to seeing that stuff later on. But it was just cool to kind of both get a deer on the same night. We've done it once before, and it's always a cool experience just to kind of double up like that. And I'm looking forward to seeing kind of all of the videos from his perspective. I've seen very little so far, so I'll be looking forward to that as much as you guys are. But that will pretty much wrap up this week's video. We're almost caught up to the end of week 2, and hopefully by the end of the next video, we're completely caught up and just doing the normal weekly videos from here on out. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.